So we all saw what happened at the press conference. Is this fight personal for you, or does that energy and passion that you showed come from another source of motivation?
I mean, I feel like I carry that passion regardless of, what would have happened at the press conference. And, you know, any fight to me is personal. I dedicated my life to the sport. I sacrificed a lot for the sport. And, there's a lot that I want to accomplish in this sport. So anybody who's in the way of that or trying to take that away from me, it's personal, because this is not only how I, make a living. I keep a roof over my head with this sport, So anybody in the way of that is going to be personal. But, I'd probably be lying if I said it didn't add a little extra motivation or, give me a little more fire. So.
And when you answer questions, also if you can kind of sort of repeat the question you answered. We'll move on to the next one. Do you think you got under Canelo's skin at the press conference?
Yeah, I think I got under Canelo's skin at the press conference. Not purposely. It's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to get under his skin. I feel like he kind of broke character a little bit at the press conference, and pushing me. I think he realizes that he's got somebody who's the real deal in front of him and not just here to pick up a check. And it strokes his ego the wrong way. He don't like that. He likes people just coming in, bowing down to him, and handing over whatever they got to hand over and going on their way. But anytime that I'm in front of somebody, that you're never going to get that out of me. So.
And you received a small cut under your eye in that exchange. Did you receive that? How did you receive that cut? I know we already talked about this, but on camera, how did you get that cut, and how bad was
it? At the press conference, I had my sunglasses on, and so, I got one on him, and when he threw one back or, went to smack me back, pushed my sunglasses up and left a small little cut under my eye. Really just a scratch. I mean, I didn't have to get stitches, or the next day we came home, I had to spar. I sparred just fine. I sparred that Saturday. So really it just pushed the skin up, and, we didn't want it trickling or anything like that, so we put a Band-Aid over it, but it wasn't a big deal or anything like that.
So at the end of the day, it was, his fans were saying, oh, it could affect the fight.
Yeah.
That could affect the fight.
No, it's nothing that could affect the fight. It's nothing that's, like I said, I was sparring the very next day, sparring that Saturday, no stitches, no nothing. It was a good scratch, but it wasn't even a cut, you know what I'm saying? So if I didn't have my sunglasses on, there wouldn't have been anything. That's what I'm most annoyed of, you know what I'm saying? I wish I didn't even have my sunglasses on.
So I want to talk about your upbringing a little bit. Obviously Canelo's got this brand recognition, but for the casual fan who may not know who Caleb Plant is, what are kind of the cliff notes of your story? Who is Caleb Plant?
Caleb is somebody who is passionate, determined, motivated, and someone who has dedicated his life to his craft. I love boxing. I got a lot of respect for the sport. I got a lot of respect for the people who came before me and helped pave the way. And, I feel like tuning into this fight is, a big deal for the fight fan. Not only is it, the biggest fight of the year, but when you're tuning in this fight, you're tuning into a piece of history. There's never been an undisputed super middleweight crowned in boxing before. And when you're tuning in, you're going to see something that's never happened before, never been done in boxing before. So, this is a big deal.
So you come from humble beginnings. What impact did your upbringing have on the person who you are today?
I think like most people, who start out with, maybe not as much. It gives you a different perspective. It gives you a different work ethic. And, I learned a lot of lessons along the way, just like, many people before me who have, started with little, just like most boxers. I'm not the only one. There's a million more of me. And, I definitely learned a lot along the way. And I definitely feel like it's helped me, in my boxing career.
You said that you want to be in the history books. Was that a goal for you from the start, or did that kind of come later as you progress in your career?
For me, it came from the start. I wanted to be one of the greatest of all time, and that's something that I wanted to be since I was a kid. I've been doing this for a long time. I started training at 9 years old, and ever since then, it's something that I wanted to run all the way to the top. And I've kept my foot on the gas. My dad's been with me this whole time along the way, and Justin, I got a great team around me, and I feel like the sky's the limit. Really, in November 6th, it's a huge step in that direction of cement my legacy.
So, moving on to just kind of talking about the fight and training, can you share a little bit about what it was like working with Andre Ward?
Yeah, training with Andre Ward. He's been someone who, I've been able to pick up the phone and reach out to, and he's someone who checks on me as well. He reaches out, calls me, makes sure everything's going good. And once we got this fight locked in, he felt like it would be a good idea for me to come out for a few days and see him and Virgil. And so me and Jordan did, and it was a great time just being around that championship type mentality. I feel like we're a lot of, very similar in those regards. And yeah, he's always been somebody that I can, reach out to and ask questions. And, it's good to have someone like that who's been in a lot of these situations before. And, he's got good insight and a good perspective as well. So,
was there anything that you learned that stuck out in particular from Ward?
A few things that I could add to my game for sure, just fine tuning some of the things that I already do really well. So it was a great time. I got a lot of respect for Coach Virgil and obviously Andre, and but they know that I box at a high level already. So just refining a few of those small details and just adding a couple small things in, nothing too much.
Why do you feel like now is the right time in your career to face Canelo?
I mean, there's no better time than now. You know what I'm saying? That's the saying. And, what other opportunity am I going to have to fight for undisputed and become undisputed? So this is a big opportunity. When they presented it to me, as soon as they did, I said, yeah. And, at first they weren't able to get things figured out on the other end. We were able to circle back, and they were able to get it figured out. I'm glad we're here. And November 6th is going to be fireworks.
You're very consistent when it comes to taking that alpha role over your opponents leading up to a fight. But it feels like you've turned that up a notch when it comes to Canelo. Is there legitimate bad blood between the two of you at this point?
I mean, again, any fight for me is personal. This is not just a job for me or just a career path. I mean, this is literally my whole life, and it has been for a really long time. So, I'm not playing mind games because I'm not playing games at all. Everything that I say, I mean. And, thus far, everything I've said, I've backed up. So November 6th, I plan on doing the same thing.
You mentioned Canelo being hurt by Miguel Cotto's brother. He's been able to take a lot of flush shots since then. Do you believe that his chin has improved, or is your mindset that once you've been hurt once, you can be hurt again?
I mean, he's definitely a different fighter since that day, but I'm just saying that if you can get, caught with the right shot and hurt at that weight, then you can definitely get caught with the right shot and hurt it this way. Anybody can be clipped. Anybody can be clipped. Anybody can be knocked out. So that's what I ment.
What will you bring to this fight that you believe that Canelo has not yet seen or experienced?
Well, everyone says that, since the Lara fight, that he's improved a lot. But, a lot of the guys that gave him the most trouble, someone like Floyd, someone like Austin Trout, someone like Lara, those guys are giving him a lot of trouble. And the differences between me and them is I'm a full-fledged super middleweight. I'm my height, my reach. I possess a lot of the same IQ and skills and ability that those guys do, but I'm a lot bigger, I'm a lot taller, and I punch a lot harder. So,
what does a win over Canelo do for your career?
Again, a win over Canelo at this point in my career is just going to be a huge step in the direction of, becoming an all-time great that I've always strived to be, work towards, and want to be, and plant my flag as the best super middleweight in the world. So.
Let's see. Canelo said that he plans to knock you out inside 8 rounds. What's your response to that, and what's your prediction for that?
My response to him knocking me out in 8 rounds is he's supposed to say that. I can't tell you how many other fighters have told me that they're going to knock me out, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that, and it never winds up like that. So it's easy to talk about it. It's easy to say what you're going to do and how easy it's going to be, but I feel like he's overlooking me, but that's on him.
What's your message to Canelo? If he was sitting right in front of you right now, what would you say to him?
I'd say, fuck you, motherfucker.
All And then if you're comfortable with looking into the camera, or if you still want to keep this, that's fine. But if we can get you to say something along the lines of, I might be a super middleweight world champion here at Plant. Just watch my fight on November 6th when I become the new undisputed.
What's up, guys? IBF super middleweight champ Caleb Plant checking in with you guys. November 6th, Showtime pay-per-view. Let me do that again. What's going on, guys? IBF super middleweight champ Caleb Plant checking in with you guys. November 6th, Showtime pay-per-view. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be boxing's crown first ever undisputed super middleweight, and you're looking at him. His name is Caleb Plant.
So who were some of your favorite fighters growing up?
Some of my favorite fighters growing up were James Toney, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Georgie Benton, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, Meldrick Taylor, Terry Norris. This goes on and on of guys that I've studied, and so those are some of the, just to name a few.
Is there a common characteristic between all of them?
Just their skill, and their skill, their athleticism, their mentality, what they bring to the sport. All those guys are legends for a reason, and it's because they dedicated their life to this craft. I forgot Roberto Duran, so I got to throw him in there too. But yeah, all those guys are just super skillful guys, and a lot can be taken from them.
There was a video of you when you were younger beating up on someone in the street who ultimately pulls out a knife. What's the story behind that?
Just just agreeing to disagree. Scuffles happen, those things happen. I'm not the first one to get into an altercation. I'm sure I won't be the last. There's plenty more that I've been in, and it's just one of those unfortunate events that happened. And but yeah, he felt the need to cross the line, and so that's how it started.
What was kind of going through your head? Like, you obviously had the better of him before he took the knife out, and then when he takes the knife out, what was kind of going through your mind with that?
Just that it's probably time to get out of there. So, but that's not the first time that something like that happened, unfortunately. But it's just one of those things.
Can you kind of repeat that and say, when you pulled out the knife, I felt like it was probably time to get out?
Yeah, when he pulled out the knife, I felt like it's probably time to get out of there. So, but those things happen. So it's not the first time or the last time that somebody had pulled something out like that. So it's just one of those unfortunate things.
Were street fights common for you growing up?
I wouldn't say quite a few. Not like a ridiculous amount, but more than a handful. So.
What were some of your favorite hip hop artists growing up? Maybe you list like a top 5.
Top 5 hip hop artists growing up or now?
Let's do growing up, and then we'll do now. We'll get to this.
Growing up, top 5. I really like old school West Coast music, like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, just like anything West Coast, WC, Ice Cube, stuff like that. Like, I really liked old school West Coast music when I was growing up. The Game. So.
And how about
now? Big Crit is one of my all-time favorite. Nipsey Hussle is one of my all-time favorite. Don Tripp is one of my all-time favorite. Who else? I'll stick with those 3.
And I want to close on your car, your lowrider. So if I remember correctly, you talked about how it's kind of a dream of yours to have a car like that. Where does that come from? Why are you so into that type of car?
Yeah, growing up, I've always wanted to have like classic cars, muscle cars. That's what I've always been into, me and my dad actually. And I can just remember us always talking about, one day when boxing works out, it'd be cool to have, this muscle car, this classic car. And I can remember being in the grocery store and us stepping off to the side and flipping through the magazines at all the old cars and just being so infatuated with them. And, I just knew that at some point in my career that's what I would want to get. And, a 64 Impala has always been like a dream car of mine. But the next one will be a 72 Chevelle. It'll be a muscle car, so coming soon.
I was gonna say, can you? So what's the make and model of the car, and can you talk about like some of the customizations you have on it currently?
Yeah, so some of the stuff done to it is a 64 Impala Super Sport. It's got the original 327 in it. Anyone who's seen it on social media, the engraving around the trim of the car, whether it's the headlight bezels, tail light bezels, the side trim, the side mirrors, the rear view mirror, the seat trim, all that is two-tone engraved. The wheels are two-tone engraved. We took the engine out, took it apart, cleaned it, sealed it, painted it, put chrome headers on it. I mean, it's pretty nice.
The double standard, right, between what what Canelo said and what you said. He said, "Motherfucker," this and that.
Yeah.
With Johnny, right? You say it in completely different terms.
Yeah.
And the media attacked you. I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about the double standard and why you think the media is pointing fingers at you and not Canelo?
They could look at me for that song.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's a little bit of a double standard there with what transpired at the press conference, and it was just normal pre-fight banter. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you, and motherfucker this, motherfucker that, and then so. But for him to act like I'm talking about his mom, I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who knows me knows like that's not really my style, that I would bring up somebody's mom. And but I feel like the media kind of came at me a little bit. But I think a lot of them do that because if they say what it is, then they're not going to get an interview out of him. And so I think a lot of the media, they take his side, or even with like him testing positive, they say allegations when it's not an allegation. He was suspended for 6 months. He tested positive. There's no, either you test positive or you test negative. So, a lot of them, they take his side because if they don't, then they won't get an interview out of him. So, that's just how it goes.